Okay, here we are. So firstly, everybody, my humble apologies for last week. Dukkha comes in various forms, numerous forms. Food poisoning is one of them. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad. It just hit me at the wrong time on Wednesday, and I was not quite with it on Thursday. In fact, I was so unwith it on Thursday, I might have accidentally started giving a lesson in Arabic, which wouldn't have done. Anyway, there we are now. I'm mentally recovered, fixed into I will be, and hopefully with it. Now, we were on, actually, another thing, I was, last night, I was really busy looking for the notes from last week and the recording from last week, and I could not find it. And suddenly dawned on me, of course, I was ill last week, so clearly the illness hadn't fully departed if I'm still looking for last week. Anyway, here we are. I think I'm more or less in a common time frame with you all now. Please be sure to alert me if I appear to drop out of it, as is very, very possible. Right, I'm going to share, oops. Should stop, remove pin. Okay. Right, here we go. I'm going to try and share screen now. So I'm trying to share, come on, how do it won't, please let me share screen. Share screen, good. And screen 3. Share. Okay, can you see shared screen? Jolly good, thank you. And I'm now going to bring over Shantideva. And when I reread Shantideva's descriptions of the kind of circumstance you want to avoid, particularly immediately before death, I then realized that a small bout of food poisoning, I should count myself lucky to have no more than that. So let me. Right, so we had got, according to my note from 2 weeks ago, to the first line and the first Bodh of the second line of verse 8. So I'll just reread verse 8 for you, unless anybody present is volunteering to do so. A lot of dubious looking faces there. Okay, I won't. Idam napraptam arabdhamidam ardhakritasthitham akasman mrityurayato ha hatosmiti chintayan. Now you've noticed with the tone of voice which I think chintayan is because, like, comma, as it were, you have commas in Sanskrit. So it continues into the next line. So ha hatosmiti chintayan. Chintayan is, hang on, let me just share the other screen with you now. There we are. Chintayan. It is from a root that you all know, but an N has slipped in. It often happens. An N has slipped in. The root is, so the word, we see this word chintayan. It is a present participle, and it is from the root. Come on, Mariano, you've been listening to the Pali classes too. What's the root of chintayan? Unmute, Mariano.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can now.
I was cheating, yeah. I said the cheat.
Cheating. Very good.
Yeah, I don't know whether it is related to cheetah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, you got that right. So chit. Yes. Now there are numerous verbs, and you just learn them as you go along, that in the present system you'd expect to see chitati, but is actually chintati. An N just comes in. And in fact, it's usually chit, just meaning the mind, as in chitta. So to think is just chintayati. Chintayati. And the present participle is chintayan. Thinking. Chintayan. So the last word in this verse then is chintayan, thinking all these things. Now look at the word immediately before chintayan. It is iti. Oops. Iti chintayan, literally thus thinking. So the iti refers to everything that has gone before. So this has not been obtained. This is started but left half done. Death has come out of nowhere. I'm a dead man. Iti, meaning iti, unquote, all of these things, thinking. So, by the way, the word this iti, it often is translated as thus or unquote. It also has the meaning of the mental explanation of an action. It can sometimes mean fearing, right. A child is afraid to go to bed because the child thinks there's a ghost in his room. We'd say, fearing that there was a ghost in his room, he didn't want to go upstairs. In Sanskrit, same in Pali, you would say, there is a ghost in my room. Iti, the child did not go to bed. In other words, iti not only quotes, but explains. So, I will study hard because I want to succeed, he thought. In Sanskrit, you put, I want to succeed. Iti, he studied hard. So iti, not only thus, but an explanation of the mental circumstances, often desire or hope or fear, out of which something arises. And sometimes it's simply an unquote. So, ha hatu smiti chintayan, thinking, I'm a dead man. This ha is just an exclamation. Sorry, let me go to other shared screen room. Oops. Here we are. Sorry, here we are. Ha. It doesn't mean, mostly it doesn't mean ha ha funny. It's an exclamation of fear. Alas, an exclamation of horror. And hatuasmi, the root han, means, originally it means to strike. And then by extension, it means to kill. The past participle is, you'd expect it to be hanta, but it's not. It's hatta. The end drops out. So hatta. If you are udhata, in fact, you doubled it. Udhata. Sorry, udhata This is one of the hindrances to meditation in Pali. We're coming to that little rabbit hole here. So hatta means struck. It also means hit. Incidentally, in English, we simply change the a to the it. So the hatta and the English word hit are etymologically the same root. It's the same word, hit, hatta. So I am hit. And then also I am killed, hattosmi. If you're udhatta, by the way, if you word ending in a D followed by a word ending in an H, you just double the D and merge them together. Udhatta. Abstract noun, audhatya, in Sanskrit, in ujhatcha, in Pali, ujhatcha. So udhatta. Now look at our English word, het up. Het up. Udhatta is the same word, etymologically the same word. And it's often translated, if you udhatta from Pali, it can often be translated as flurry and worry when you're all agitated and nervous. It's one of the hindrances to practice, the udhacha, being het up. So udhatta, het up, in an excitable state. Don't get het up about it. Sorry, come on. Why can't you let me go back to my... Sorry, I'm going to... here we are. When this kind of thing happens to the computer, I must remember the advice of my old Irish Catholic mother. Now, don't be saying words that will make the baby Jesus cry. Okay. Right, I refrained. So, back to where we were. Sorry, it's a bit disjointed. Here we are. So, hattosmi. Hatta means hit or killed. Sorry. Screen sharing weird. Okay. Oh, okay, right. I just got a message from Odin. Hopefully this is cured now.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. Hatta. That's in its stem form. Hatta, then hit or killed. Ha, hattosmi. Alas, I'm a dead man. I am killed. In the nominative singular, masculine nominative singular, hatta. And those of you who are on the Thomas Eganus grammar lessons with me will very soon get to this bit of sandhi. Well, you're learning it now. If you get a word ending in an ah, followed by another word beginning in a short ah, then that merges to o. So hatta and asmi means I am. So you don't say hatta asmi, it becomes hattosmi, literally killed I am, rather the equivalent to I'm a dead man, I'm about to be killed. Ha hattosmi. And then we have asmi plus asmi iti chintayan becomes hattosmiti. The i asmi iti becomes asmiti. Ha hattosmi chintayan. I am a dead man, thus thinking. So I will just read through this once more, and if anyone has any questions about it, please fire away. So, idam napraptam arabdhamidam arthakritasthitam akasman mrityurayato ha hattosmiti chintayan. And if I read that last pada, a pada is a half line. If I read that last half line without the sandhi, it would be ha hatta asmi iti chintayan. See, Hata asmi iti chintayan, hatosmi iti chintayan. Right. Any questions either now or I'll certainly take them at the end of the session. So we can move on to.
May I just ask something, please, James?
Yeah, please, Jinan.
What is the circumflex over the eye? I didn't remember seeing that before.
You mean
on the smiti on the eye?
Okay. Okay. In the Devanagari, that would not be reflected in the Devanagari script. In the Devanagari script, you have the E. The same applies to the other simple vowels as well. And the E. This in Devanagari script is asmiti. Asmi plus iti. And in Devanagari is written with the ordinary macron, you know, the sound and macron meaning a long vowel. Okay, so far so good. You got that. Now, by way of, sorry, I keep forgetting to do my notepad for you, silly me. This is what I've just done. E. E. So here, asmi plus iti becomes asmiti, written with the I with a macron that you already know about that distinguishes the short E from the long E. Yeah. Now to your question, why a circumflex? A circumflex is a clever device invented by, I don't know, maybe, I don't know whether it was the Germans or the good professors at Oxford, alas, who invented it. To indicate for the foreign learners, to help the foreign learners, that it's the merging of two vowels. Oh, yeah. So normally you'll find it written just as asmiti, but if you write with the circumflex, that's just a warning to the learner that it's a merging of two vowels, therefore write with the circumflex. So it's no more than an aid for students. And it's not actually reflected in the Devanagari script. So in the Devanagari script, right, a, sm, and this me here, that's written like that on its own. It makes no difference in the Devanagari script whether it's an original long E or an E plus E becoming E. So there we are. You're right to raise the point. Thank you. And it's simply a device to assist foreign students.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Right. So there we go. Now we'll go on to the. Oh. There we are. Achieved without any words that would make the baby Jesus cry. Right. So number 9 now. Number 9 starts with a word that might fill the learner with dread. It is a long compound word comprising 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elements, an 8-element compound word. Don't be too put off by these long compound words, because we have them in English as well, not in quite the same way. But for example, if you talk about, for example, I can say to you, talk to you about a railway station car park ticket machine malfunction, and you will know immediately that I'm talking about a malfunction in the ticket machine in the car park adjacent to the railway station. But there we are. How many of those? Railway station, car park, ticket machine. There we are. That's an 8-word compound. So we have them in English. They have them rather more frequently in Sanskrit in a slightly more complex way, but the principle is exactly the same. It is this shoka vega samuchanda sashurakte kshanananan bandhun nirashan sampashyan yamaduta mukhanicha. The second line is, okay, more normal. I'll read it again slowly and then analyze it for you. Shoka vega samuchanda sashurakte kshanananan bandhun nirashan sampashyan yamaduta mukhanicha. Let's do the second line first. Sampashyan sorry, I'll highlight this for you. Sampashyan, like chintayan in the last line, sampashyan is also a participle, a present participle. So in line 8, iti chintayan, thus thinking, and here sampashyan, seeing all these things. Then you go on to the main verb in line 10. So this verse 10. So this verse is sampashyan, verse 9, thinking all these things. Verse 8, thinking all these things. Verse 9, sampashyan, seeing all these things. And in verse 10, kinkarishyasi, what will you do? Now, sampashyan, seeing. I'll go now to sampashyan. Is anyone going to volunteer to say what's the root of this pash is in pashyan? First hand up gets to say what's the root. Okay, Mariana.
Passati, isn't it?
Sorry?
Passati would be the first person he sees. So it is Asami, Asasi, Passasi, Passati.
Okay, that's in, you said it correctly in Pali. What's the root?
It would be well in Sanskrit. Why do we have
drish?
Yes, okay, thank you Bhanta Yushi. It's the drish. Yeah, it's the, were you going to get to that, Mariano?
Yeah, and
so the root is in fact drish. It's one of those very rare, okay, don't look too puzzled. It's one of those very rare verbs where the root and the present tense are actually two different verbs. And I can reassure you by saying there is at least one verb in English where we do the same thing, the same kind of thing. So for example, the verb to go, the past tense, we don't say I goed, we say I went. So in other words, we get two different verbs from different roots. And the went then is called a suppletive verb. In other words, it supplements something that's missing. So from the root drish, let me try and get this up. Here we are. From the root drish, that means to see. And by adding ti to the root, there are many ones where you can, it makes a verbal noun. So drishti, Drishti means literally seeing, the act of seeing. And of course, therefore, a view. And in Pali, just go into Pali for a moment. Ditti. And we have Samaditi, often translated as right view. From this, in Sanskrit, it would be Samyak Drishti. So anyway, from this, and in Pali as in Sanskrit, you don't say drishami or darshayami. You just use this completely different root of pashyami. And in Pali, pasami. And as we know, with the prefix vi, is the idea of either separation or penetration, splitting the veil. So pashyami. So pashyana means one way of saying seeing. Vipashyana. And of course, in Pali, it's vipassana. Which translated as insight, means penetrating into something, pulling the veil apart, vipashyana, seeing into it, seeing behind it. So back to where we were, sampashyan. This prefix sam often indicates a totality, the completion of an action. Not always, but often represents the completion of an action, or going round and round. Let's take a verb 3, roots 3, meaning to proceed or to go. And it makes a verbal noun sara. And if you put some in front of it, sangsara, with that prefix some, it means the idea of a series of completed going round and round and round. There's some here. In this means a series of completed acts, of completed circles, samsara. Now back to sampashyan. Sampashyan here, therefore, means not just seeing, that would just be pashyan on its own. Sampashyan, with this sam, as in samsara, going around, sampashyan means embracing all. It's what fills your vision. You're taking in with one view. Sampashyan. It fills your view and you take it all in. So sampashyan, not just casually seeing, but really seeing. That's what is in your vision now. That's the only thing in your circle of vision. So sampashyan. What are you seeing? Now to analyze this, your sampashyan. All right. Then your sampashyan bandhun. Now, sorry, bandhu. It's from the root bad, alternative form band. It's one of these ones where an N can slip in. Band. Actually, quite often we find there are words in Sanskrit that have a short a, and in English we get it turns into an I, just as hatha in English we have hit, and from band we get in Sanskrit we get bind. It's that same root, bandha, bind, tie together. So a bandhu is somebody to whom you are bound. Therefore, it means a relative, your kinsman. We talk about being, the ties of kinship, or the bonds of kinship. So this bandhu, people to whom you are tied in the sense of your relatives. That's the meaning of bandhu here, the people to whom you are bound. So a bandhu, this by the bandhun then is the accusative plural. Sampashyan bandhun, seeing relatives is all it means. Sampashyan bandhun, seeing relatives. Nirashan. So we make the accusative bandhu bandhun, and the adjective nirasha becomes nirashan, the accusative plural. So sampashyan bandhun nirashan, seeing relatives despairing, without hope. Now this the word asha means hope. It is a feminine noun ending in a long a, asha, meaning hope. Now, always remember, you're going to see it the entire time, that where you get a noun that may be a noun, note that may be masculine, feminine, or neuter. Here we've got asha, a feminine noun, and you're going to put it at the end of a compound. Here it's a very simple compound to turn it into an adjective. If you put nir plus asha, nir means without or something less. If you put them together, this asha that on its own is a feminine noun becomes an ordinary adjective ending in a short a. So hopeless, sorry, Odin is constantly having to remind me. Sorry, Odin, constantly having to, oh, come on, constantly having to remind me to share my screen. Whenever you see me not sharing my screen when I should, somebody shout. Sorry. Where have we got? So, but can't remember where we'd reached now. So hatta, hit and bind, bandhun, nirashan, asha, okay, hope, feminine noun. Make it, put a prefix in front of it, make it into an adjective, nirasha. It now ceases to be a feminine noun and becomes the final element of an ordinary adjective. So if somebody is hopeless, is despairing, without hope, if it's a bloke, then you masculine singular, nirasha. If a woman is in despair, she is nirasha, but that's only coincidental now. The reason it's now a long a at the end of that is not because asha on its own is a feminine noun, it's because this has now become an adjective and it will behave like any ordinary adjective ending in a, so nirasha. Now, here we have bandhun nirashan. See where I'm circling it here. So nirasha, the adjective, now goes into its masculine plural accusative form, nirashan. That's bandhun nirashan. So seeing one's despairing relatives. What else is he seeing? Yamaduta mukhanicha. So Yamadutu mukhani. The word mukha is a neuter noun. So in its nominative form, it is mukham. It means, primarily it means a mouth, but then by extension, it means a face. There's the name, there's the gomukha. There's an adjective now, meaning cow-faced. If you call somebody cow face in English, it would not be polite. If you call somebody cow face in Sanskrit, it's very polite indeed, because the cow is such a revered animal. I haven't tried it in India. Don't try it without checking first. Just observing that it's not an insulting term among the Indians. And it's plural. So it's neuter, and so the plural mukham becomes mukhani. So Yamaduta mukhani, a compound, literally the Yama messenger faces, the faces of the messengers of Yama, the Lord of Death. So this is another. So sampashyan, seeing, bandhun nirashan, one's relatives despairing, and the cha Yamaduta mukhani cha, and the faces of the minions, the messengers of Yama. Now, before we go on to the very complex compound, sorry, not very complex. Why am I frightening you? Before we go on to this, in Sanskrit terms, fairly obvious and really quite easy compound in line 1, let's just look at this even simpler compound, Yamaduta mukhani. It would have been equally correct in Sanskrit to, as we say, analyze the compound, take all the members apart, and say Yamasya dutanam mukhani. Genitive Yamasya, of Yama. Dutanam mukhani. So the mukhani, the faces, dutanam, of the messengers, that's plural, that's genitive plural, Yamasya, genitive singular, of Yama. That would have been linguistically equally correct. Yamasya dutanam mukhani. Note, by the way, that in Sanskrit and in Pali, the thing possessed goes before, sorry, it comes after. Let me explain that better. So the faces of the messengers, we say of the messengers, the faces, dutanam mukhani. Remember that the word order is exactly the same as in English if we use the possessive S. So we can say the faces of the messengers, or the messengers, S apostrophe, faces. This word order is the standard word order in Sanskrit and Pali. The thing that's in the genitive goes first. So, I mean, mukhani dutanam, yes, in certain circumstances you could say it, but it would be far more normal and regular to say dutanam mukhani. But even more regular to just put it all into one compound, the compound much beloved of the Sanskrit writers. So rather than Yamasya dutanam mukhani, of Yama, the Yama's messengers' faces, just Yamaduta mukhani, without any change of meaning. So here we are, sampashyan, beholding, taking in all of this. Sampashyan bandhun nirashan, your bandhun nirashan, your despairing relatives. Yamaduta mukhanicha, and the mukhani of the Yamadutanam, of the Yama messengers. So after that simple introduction, we will move on to the first line. The Shoka Vega Samuchanna Sasru Raktekshananan. Note that this first compound, let me get back to this first, in the Romanization, sorry, I'll highlight here. You'll see that in this Romanized version, I've put in several hyphens just to show in the Roman script where the word divisions are. You will also see, in particular, jinan, you will notice sashru, you will notice a circumflex there, that is sa ashru, with tears, meaning tearful. And another circumstance here, another circumflex here, with the rakta ekshana, it's rakta iksha, the ai becomes an e. In the Devanagari script, just let me highlight it right here. That line on the top, that squiggle on the top is the e. It doesn't show a circumflex. It's only in the Roman script we can show a circumflex to assist you, to remind you that it's the amalgamation of two vowels. So I've analyzed it down here for you, the rakta ikshana, red-eyed. So let's look at that now. Now, the next thing to notice, it ends in an. The masculine accusative plural, as in nirashan. So the entire thing, this entire word is one compound adjective. When you get compounds, with a few very simple exceptions, we'll see as we go along, with a few simple exceptions, it's only the last member of it actually declines, through the various cases, through the genders and the numbers, only the last member. That's why shoka, vega, samuchanda, sashru, rakta, ikshana are all in their stem form, and only the last one, the anana, now, that takes the declensional ending for the entire compound, ananan. And so we now can see that it looks like an adjective, a masculine accusative plural adjective, and yeah, it simply qualifies bandhun. So bandhun, accusative plural, nirashan, accusative plural, and shokavega samuchanda sashuraktekshananan, also accusative plural. Now, when analyzing a compound, in Sanskrit, it's normally, unless of course you can see the entire thing at a glance, what it's meant to be, you analyze it backwards, you start at the end. And again, why do they do it in that funny way? Well, okay, we do it in exactly the same way in English. Let me go back to my analogy of the railway station car park. Railway station car park, a park. Well, what kind of a park? A car park. A car park, what for? Shopping mall car park, sports center car, no, a station car park. Okay, now go further. Station, what kind of station? Railway station. So in other words, we can analyze that compound going backwards. So the entire thing is a park. All the words coming before it. What kind of park? Railway station, car park. It's the same kind of thing in Sanskrit. So we get the anana. The last word, anana, actually means a face. Strictly speaking, it means that which breathes, but it's often used to mean a face, the anana. It's from a root that everybody knows. From an. And we all know prana. It's from that same root, the an meaning to breathe, prana, breathing out.
We can't see what you're writing, James.
Thank you. Sorry, you have to carry on reminding me. You have to get the stick out next time. I have to hold out my hand to be slapped with a ruler. Here we are, here we are. Ah, it keeps getting hidden on the next screen. Thank you. There we are. Right, so the anana, the root is an meaning to breathe, and prana, breathing, so prana, which we have the word prana.
Could I ask whether anima has got the same root?
And it's very, very likely, because the idea of the breath and life, and the anima, the soul, you know, these are all kind of merged into one meaning, and life very often is equated with breath. And that is why in Sanskrit, so prana is breathing. So a pranin, new stem form pranin, nominative singular prani, means, you know, a creature, a being that has breath. And in Pali, a pani often means a creature, a living being. And prana, as normal, becomes pana in Pali. By the way, if you strike something down, it is atipata. So pana atipata, and so on. You vow to refrain from. So pana here means life. Literally, I vow to refrain from striking down breath, prana, but it means taking life, destroying life. So panatipata, sikapa, veramani, and so on. That's it. That's in pana. So the ananam with their faces. Let me go back, and please, somebody be kind and shout at me again if I forget to share the screen. There we are. So Raktekshananam, red-eyed faces, rakta. It's from the root ranj or raj. Sorry, didn't shout at me quickly enough. Here we are. Rakta. It means colored, and often is used to mean red. From the root ranj or raj, meaning to color. Incidentally, if you put the prefix vi, Pali virata, verbal noun virati in Pali. If you are in Sanskrit virakta, it means you are uncolored. Now this word in Pali virata often means to be, you know, unaffected by something, dispassionate. It's often translated as virakta, you are uncolored by it. And curiously enough, this same word raj, we also get raga. So the color and rage are in fact from that same root. Raga as in passion, the red of passion. You are colored, your colors up. If you're virakta, you are uncolored and without passion, dispassionate. And if you are enraged by something, or totally, if your mind is absorbed by it, you anurakta. Anu, accordingly, or with it, anurakta. You are going along with that color, going along with the rage. And raga, of course, we have the English word rage from the same root, and they get the g b split. So we, for example, In Italian, we have rabbia. Is that right, Mariana? Rabbia, rage, from which we get the rabid, as in a rabid dog, a dog who's got the rabies, which is the rage, the uncontrollable rage or passion or being colored of that dog. Anyway, here we are back to rakta. Raktekshana. The ikshana means the eye. If you are raktekshananana, you are red eye faced, in other words, face with red eyes. Rakta ikshana, raktekshana, red eyed. Incidentally, this iksh just means to look or to see, iksh. And look at, there's another one you all know. Upa. Upa and iksh means to look, to upa, up or above, to look at from above. And you make a noun with iksha, so it becomes, note here, the circumflex, upa iti a plus I becomes e, so I'm right with circumflex, upeksha. And as usual in Pali, that becomes upekka. So the ekka element in the Pali upekka, often translated as equanimity, but as so always, it's more than that. It means just looking at it from a distance, rather than it being in your face. You are looking down at it from above. So it's not quite equanimity. Equanimity is more, you've got an equal animus, one thing is equal to the other. Upeksha means rather than something being like in your face, crowding you out, you are upa iksha, distancing, looking down from a height and from a distance. That same iksha. So the ka there is from also iksh, Sanskrit root iksh. So your raktekshana, so the ikshana means a seeing, and then by extension it means the eye. So raktekshana, red-eyed. Raktekshanana, red-eyed face. So raktekshanana, a face with red eyes. Why is it, again, working backwards, why is it a face with red eyes? Because it's sashru. Which is sa plus ashru. So ashru means a tear, as in weeping tears, ashru. If you put, very often we have tearful. By adding this full in English, I mean it has tears in it. There are tears there, tearful expression, a tearful face. You do the same in Sanskrit and Pali by prefixing sa. Sa actually means just with tears, tearful. So then this merges by santi to sashru. So red-eyed, so tearfully red-eyed, in other words, red-eyed with tears. So sashru rakta ikshana anana, tearful, red-eyed face. That can be treated as one half of the compound. And the first half of the compound, shokavega samuchanna. So shoka means grief. And by negating the word, we produce the name of the much loved Buddhist emperor, the Emperor Ashoka. So it means he who is without grief, he is beyond grief, he is Ashoka, griefless. So Shoka Samuchanna, we're nearly at one. We'll wind up from in a moment for the break. I've just deal with this one. Chad means to cover. Whether actually it is cognate with the English word hide, I'm not sure. I'll see if I'll try and check that. Anyway, chad means to cover. Ut chad, which by Santi becomes uchad, means to uncover, to disclose or to reveal, to open up. Chad, by the way, the past participle is channa. Chad plus na becomes channa. Okay, most past participles in Sanskrit are made with the addition of a ta, just as most participles in English are made with the addition of an ed. Quite a number of past participles in Sanskrit are made with the addition of a na, just as in English we have a lot of participles with an en, like ridden, written, spoken. We often have the n as our past participle, mostly an ed, sometimes an en, that exactly reflects the Sanskrit ta and na. So it's not chadda or chatta, but channa. So channa means concealed. Uchanna means opened, uncovered. Now with this prefix some, samuchanna. I was mentioning earlier that this prefix often has the meaning of something complete, total. Like pashyan, seeing, sampashyan, you're seeing the totality of it. Now, samuchanna, open, samuchanna here has a kind of a violent meaning, like blown open, blown apart. Samuchanna, you're like emotionally ripped apart, is the meaning of samuchanna here. You're samuchanna. Why are you samuchanna? You're ripped apart with the shoka vega. The vega here, vega, actually, because one of my favorite words, we'll deal with it in greater length next time. The original meaning is life or quickness, but here it can mean a kind of a shock. Rouge. Odin wonders whether rakta and rouge. Yes, actually, I'll give a thumbs up to that one. Yeah, rouge and rakta. Also ruddy as well. Ooh, yes, nice one, Odin. I think you're right there. So, the samuchanna blown apart by the shoka vega, by the grief excitement or the grief shock. Vega, actually next time I'm going to look at this root vig with you. It's one of my, oh goodness me, there are so many favorite roots I have, but this is a really lovely one. And the vega, vig, verbal noun vega, I'll leave you just with this one. Vega. We are told that we should, in our Buddhist practice, have a sense of samvega. Your samvega is, a sense of urgency. You don't hang around, oh, I'll do half an hour meditation maybe at the weekend. Urgency, get out of bed and do it. There's some vega, the sense of urgency, the vega. So the idea of quickness and life. And it's one of these beautifully spreading roots because when you talk about a vegetable, the veg of vegetable means these kind of things that live and you can eat. They are alive and they're the veg. And when you touch somebody, an alternative form of, in English, wick and quick, touch somebody to the quick, touch him to the live flesh under the skin. And incidentally, even the wick of a candle, the wick is the live bit. That's why we say the wick of a candle. So we'll resume.
Can I ask a quick one?
Please, Mariano.
What about Vigour? Is it?
Yes, yes. Yeah? So if you want vigor, eat your vegetables, and it's all from the same root.
And what about shocking and shocker? Are they related? Shaking, shock, shocker.
Shocker. I wonder if they are. Though, in fact, in this verse, it's the Vega that's pronounced that is translated as shock. Shocker, shock. I wonder if it could be. That's an interesting one. Let me check that. Shocker.
Thank you.
Shock. But shoka generated is the word for grief. So shoka vega, the shock of grief. Shoka vega shamuchanna, grief shock blown apart. So blown apart with the shock of grief, suddenly realizing that their relative is about to die as he lies there, caked in certain unpleasant substances. Shantideva doesn't pull his punches, He doesn't pull his punches.
James, sorry, it's Chris Allen. Could I just ask a very quick question on the second line of the Devanagari script?
Please.
The ka in Mukanicha looks a bit odd.
The ka in Mukanicha, okay.
Yeah.
Right. You wanted it to look like this, did you?
The ka in Mukanicha.
Okay.
In the aspirated form.
Yeah, okay, fine. That's correct. That is the ka.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be the leg to be of the first.
Okay. Okay.
Is it deliberate?
It's purely a question of the design of the typeface.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's nothing more than that. In quick handwriting, I would write it like that. In more careful handwriting, I would write it like that. But you are going to see, as you have seen here, it curling round to touch. There's no significance. It's purely typeface.
Right, thank you.
And you'll probably see this more in print rather than in handwriting. Just as, for instance, as I said, when we're handwriting a G, when nobody ever writes the way you see it in print, that's how we write a G. But nobody ever writes it like this. But you will see it in print. So there we are. Purely the designer of that typeface.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for raising that, Chris.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, we'll have a break, and I'll see you back at about a few moments before 1:20. Okay, see you then.